I'm proposing that we replace the European Convention on Human Rights with a British Bill of Rights, something that upholds our very long-standing tradition in this country of protecting minorities, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, all the things that we hold dear. And in fact, these were gifts we gave to the world. And I'm supported in that argument by some of our greatest jurists, like Lord Jonathan Sumption.
Well, let's be clear on this. The course of action Tory leadership favourite Robert Jenrick is proposing, should his party be elected to government again, presupposes we can actually trust the party or government proposing that course of action with our human rights in the first place. And when last in power, just months ago, they repeatedly tried to curtail our human rights under the existing convention we're already a part of. In fact, according to International Human Rights Watch, under the last government, the UK was on course to make the list of countries that abuse rather than protects human rights, thanks to the Conservatives' outright onslaught on the rights of its own citizens. Just think about that. And it's easy to see why. During their time in office, they passed new anti-strike laws designed to rob millions of workers of their democratic right to strike, force them to work against their will, and allow them to be sacked if they refuse. And that included doctors, nurses, teachers, and many other public sector workers. An Elections Act locked millions of people out of the electoral process, a blatant act of voter suppression by the then government. A new law stripped back our right to protest and limited our rights to judicial review, an affront to the very principles of government accountability and fairness. So please remember all this next time you hear a politician say this.
I'm proposing that we replace the European Convention on Human Rights with a British Bill of Rights.
Quite apart from the fact that leaving the ECHR would put us in a club with Russia and Belarus, as I've said many times before, and I'll continue to repeat it, the European Convention on Human Rights protects our right to a fair trial, freedom of assembly and expression, the right to participate in free elections, freedom of religion, freedom from discrimination, the right to privacy, freedom from torture and degrading treatment. And that's not all. The ECHR has protected British people from abuses of power by its own government. And if all that's not enough to convince you we should remain a member, leaving the ECHR could result in the UK's trade deal with the EU being terminated, because the convention is written into the 2020 Trade and Cooperation Agreement. And it would also breach the Good Friday Agreement, which requires that the convention be directly enforceable in Northern Ireland. If we want to avoid a dangerous chain of events which could one day actually see Britain joining Russia and Belarus as the only European countries outside the ECHR, we need to constantly call out this insane drumbeat from the right to leave. So please do hit that share button.